Welcome back to Preparing for the Unexpected. Today we're talking with Aubrey Wade and TJ Mead about transitioning our business continuity roles into a more technical focused role. Great first and second segment there, guys. Lots of good information, and we talked about opportunities. Now, I'd like to change gears a little bit and challenge you with, were there any challenges that maybe we should be aware of? I don't want anyone watching or listening to think it's all, bunnies and rainbows by going across to, the other side, so to speak. But what are some of the challenges we should be aware of and be prepared for? Aubrey, would you like to go first?
Sure. I think one is the fear. I think our own impediment, like taking that leap for myself and applying for that job in the first place was a huge vote of confidence in my own capabilities to learn. And so like giving yourself the confidence to take the jump is one hurdle I think a lot of people struggle with. And then building that credibility within the role. I think breaking down those barriers with those leaders. Within the interview itself, when I was applying for my big ITDR role, this big change, the senior director asked me, "Why should I hire you? You don't have a background in this," which is a totally fair question. And I said, I can tell a good story, I can communicate really well, and I'm really interested in learning. And that did it for him to let me have this opportunity. So I think those two things. And then there's a lot of work on your end to learn this stuff. Like they're not going to give you just their time to ask the same question over and over again. Like TJ said, engineers are very gracious, and they are. You can ask them, you can come to them, but after that, don't ask them again. Like you are going to have to go do the legwork for this and take the notes and draw the diagram for yourself and then show it to them and say, is this right? But like you should not be asking them over and over and over again the same thing. That is not the way
Mm.
to get into this space. You need to take some ownership on your own learning. And that requires more work outside of your normal day-to-day job to get up to speed and be effective. So that's my soapbox for challenges.
TJ?
Yeah, that one specifically hit a nerve for me.
I saw it.
As both an engineer and also as somebody who's been doing the ITDR stuff a really long time. Um, as an engineer, Aubrey is 100% right. Do not ever ask me the same question twice because you will lose all credibility. And this is with most engineers that I know. You'll immediately lose credibility. Don't ask. Take notes. It's not that hard. Just take notes. And then reference your notes if you're going to reach back out to those engineers again. Um, being prepared as somebody who's new in the space and trying to learn, do upfront research. Look, I'm not saying write like a master's thesis or something. I'm literally saying like go online and Google it. If you're going to meet with, I don't know, somebody on the network team, like do a little research. Like we all have documentation libraries, right? Like there's lots of documentation within the company. Like do work. Like spend 15 minutes or 30 minutes before you meet with this person. Have a fundamental understanding of like who they are, who their team is, what they do. That will build a lot of credibility right up front. And then the other thing, um, as an ITDR person who I've had people reach out to me quite a few times asking about this transition. And then I say, like, I'll give them, here's three things that you can do right now. Go look this up and then reach back out to me. Do you know how many times, like, I've had probably, I don't know, quite a few dozen people reach out to me via LinkedIn. Do you know how many have reached back out to me? One. That actually went out, did the curiosity work, like did their own homework, and then came back and asked better questions, like to follow up. Hey, I did this. Here's a little bit further, a little follow-up question. Um, that's great. Like, but that's one out of many. So it's that curiosity piece and the being prepared thing, like those two things are eminently valuable.
I think the follow-up piece is really good because you just described, one person got back to you. If you do take your notes like you did, Aubrey, and ask the questions and got to know the teams and the people involved, if you take your notes and then follow up and say, did I understand everything correctly? Then in a way, you are able to ask that question a second time, but you're asking it in a different way for clarification now to make sure, did I comprehend what you told me the first time correctly? Because you've written it down and they're like, oh, because the person, the engineer, or whoever you're talking to, is going to see this person's making an effort. They're not just sitting there, yeah, nodding their head. Okay, I understand. They're seeing you put effort into it and a level of understanding to really move things forward and understand what they do and how they do it, and then bringing that to a new level and incorporating it into DR or BCP or whatever the goal is. So that follow-up is really important, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Well, and
Go ahead
folks want
on.
you to represent them correctly, right? So if
Hmm.
you've messed up the way that you explained what they do or how they did it, I think they will tell you that it's not quite right, which is also a learning experience. And I appreciate what Copilot and all these other things can do for us, but kind of to our detriment that people aren't taking notes and really internalizing the calls that they're on. For this purpose, right? And I don't like to take notes for notes' sake. I'm usually using notes for something, which is another reason to make sure they're right. And that's gets you the additional like, is this right? Because I'm gonna mention it here, or I'm gonna talk about it there. So that helps keep it clear and correct.
Yeah, I want to really quickly double click on something that Aubrey said, a specific word, fear. Um, the context you used it in, like the fear of putting yourself out there and like going for something that you at the time didn't have a huge background in. I think also, as I was saying, like a lot of the people who just, I said, here, go do these three
Mhm.
things or whatever it was, and then come back. I think a lot of people, the fear kicks in as well, and they look at it like, oh my gosh, this is so daunting. Like this is a mountain to climb. Um, it doesn't have to be, and that fear can be broken down by try to understand, have a little bit of understanding of the IT landscape. Um, Try and attend your company town hall, or look for meetings that you can get the quick download of like, hey, here's what engineering is doing this quarter. Like attend these engineering town halls or any of those sorts of meetings. Get a little bit of understanding about what the big priorities are for the company. So let's say a company's going to push for cloud because it's a thing that a lot of companies are doing. Like, hey, we're going to push for cloud over the next 12 to 24 months. Okay, cool. Then that probably means that if you have an understanding of the cloud environment that they're looking at, like Azure, AWS, whatever, GCP, whatever, cool. Go do some basic homework on that. Like it won't take long and it's mostly free. All that stuff is free. So, yeah, like go focus on that first. Use that as your starting point. And then, like, okay, cool. I know now that we also have mainframe. Like, if it's a banking environment, oh, we also have mainframe. So, like, okay, do a little bit of homework on that. Like, build your building, treat it like building blocks.
Yeah, yeah.
Helps
So
break the fear down. And
it's like a swimming pool. People get nervous right off the bat, oh, because it's too deep. Yeah, but the other end, if you just walk in, it's only that deep. It's not as bad. You work your way to the other side, right? Well, we only have 4 minutes left. So, do you have any final thoughts or final things you'd like to share before we sign off? TJ, how about you go first here? And I think you wanted to say something about certifications, actually.
yeah, so there's, I mean, as most of the listeners for this will probably know, there's two main industry players. There's DRI and BCI, right? Both of them have BCI is more internationally focused, DRI is more UCAN or US Canada focused, North America focused. Um, Both will have lots of valuable information about IT disaster recovery. Um, but if you're looking to learn more about specific areas of technology, there are lots of different certifications that you can go for. And honestly, you don't even really have to take the certifications, but like there's the CompTIA, CompTIA. CompTIA is the starting point. I tell most people who have no exposure to technology at all. I say start with CompTIA because it will give you the basic framework. There's security plus, net plus, A plus. Well, actually, I don't know that A plus still exists anymore, but there's cloud. There's a bunch of those different certifications from A plus or from CompTIA that it will give you the domain specific information. Then you can from there deep dive down into the individual areas like AWS cloud practitioner, like if you're an AWS shop, or GCP has their stuff. Cisco has lots of certifications. You can, in each one of those specific areas, network, security, whatever, they almost all have like a generalist certification.
Mhm.
That's all you need. Like you don't have to be like an AWS cloud architect um to do ITDR work. So and I also want to say like just look on Google. Like so many of these companies have free training. Just on AWS has a ton of free training just available all the time. And then secondly, like Coursera and Udemy and any number of those other things, like they have certification prep courses too. And a lot of times they're pretty much free or minimal cost. So
Great. Aubrey, any final thoughts?
Um, I guess my advice is just like if you're interested in doing this, like do the work, like bet on yourself, like spend the time, dedicate the time to go either pursue the trainings that TJ mentioned or find a friend in your current organization that can teach you a little bit. I think of you guys, you talked about the swimming pool and like the shallow end. I think of the tasks in the morning where you do a couple easy ones to gain momentum and gain like that the beginning of your day so you can jump into something bigger, and building just that initial foothold with someone that you can ask questions to or attend those meetings is going to be a good first step to one, understand if you're interested in doing this in the first place, because maybe you don't want to go jump into a training to find out that it's a little off-putting. Maybe it's just the exposure that you say, wow, this is actually really interesting, and that gives you the momentum to then pursue more knowledge growth and learning in this space.
I like what you had to say there. Bet on yourself. I think that's perfect. Sorry, you had your hand up there, TJ.
yeah, so Aubrey, I think you'll probably agree with this. I want to just put a PSA out there of like what not to do.
Sure.
Do not reach out to like an industry professional and just say, tell me how to get into this space. Do not do that. Like, do not make that statement. Come with a series of questions. Be prepared for uh a conversation, right? And like have specific questions that you're asking because it shows me you just saying, tell me how to move into this space. Like that tells me you've done no homework. You are not actually curious. You just want, please give me the just written roadmap for this. Like that is a non-starter. And I've had so many people reach out to me and it's like, yeah, I can tell you did no upfront work here. But if you show up curious and prepared, like I'll give you lots of time. Aubrey, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think there's a just show me how to do this path for anything we do. But this is certainly not one of those things you can just add a bunch of letters to the end of your title on LinkedIn and say that you're good at it. I think you have to really like it and you have to be interested in it. And you have to want to learn it. Like that for me is the indicator that you'll be successful in this. I think if you just jump into it without knowing if you really find it like stimulating, then I don't know if that's the successful path for you.
And on that note, we've come to the end of the show. I think everyone watching and listening would appreciate your insights, Aubrey and TJ. I think it's great. This was the first time we ever talked about this topic on the show. So I really appreciate you guys sharing your time and your experiences, real experiences. Aubrey, especially in your case. And TJ, I know it was the opposite for you, but still, it gave great perspectives from both sides. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
And everyone watching and listening, stay prepared, everybody. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.